There's big technology processes that are changing. This is being driven by the rise of AI. That's kind of the buzz in anything you read that deals with digital marketing or sales, and the robots are coming for our jobs and all that, which I don't think is necessarily true. But artificial intelligence has made it very easy for companies to go in and scrape emails from a variety of sources.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Workergenix Mastermind. We've got a special guest here, Clay Posey with Clearbox Strategies. He's a Workergenix client and he's going to share some updates to important things regarding email and marketing that is going to affect any business that does any kind of online marketing. Welcome to the Mastermind, Clay.
Thanks, Harley. Great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we'd love to kind of start out hearing a little background about Clearbox Strategies. What was like the genesis to your business here, and tell us kind of what it is that you do.
So Clearbox founded this company about 6 years ago. We focus specifically on digital marketing and sales process for our clients. So we want to make sure that you have a great process for finding, converting clients to customers, and then keeping them as customers. So that's really our primary focus. And we do whatever we need to do in regards to that. So we look at the whole life cycle of your customer journey and try to make sure that you're keeping folks satisfied, because it's easier to keep a customer than find a new one.
Absolutely. One of the things that I was really impressed when I first spoke with Clay was how you leverage technology and you use a variety of tools. And I think HubSpot is one of those. Is that correct?
Yeah, HubSpot is kind of our key platform because it follows the same basic, what we call the clear boxes of marketing, sales, and customer service. You hear people talk about thinking outside the box, and I realized you really can't think outside your own box, but at least we try to make those boxes transparent so that those processes all communicate to each other. And that's basically the way HubSpot flows. So it's a convenient way. HubSpot has created their pricing to be very aggressive for small businesses, so you can start using the platform for free, but their base subscription plan is like $30 a month. So they filled a void in the marketplace, and so that's our primary technology. But we look at everything digital to make sure we're putting the right message at the right place at the right time.
So, and part of doing this is having to stay up on the current trends with technology, policies, rules for sending marketing email. And you approached me and said that there's some updates coming around. Can you share like what's changing?
There's big technology processes that are changing. This is being driven by the rise of AI. That's kind of the buzz in anything you read that deals with digital marketing or sales, and the robots are coming for our jobs and all that, which I don't think is necessarily true. But artificial intelligence has made it very easy for companies to go in and scrape emails from a variety of sources, from social media, especially LinkedIn, from social media platforms, from other places, including if you just visit a website, even if you don't fill out a form or volunteer any information. And so these companies are aggregating all these email lists, and then of course they're reselling them. That's their business model, is to make a profit. But what that does then is couple that with AI that makes it very easy to send what appear to be personalized messages to folks at scale, meaning you're sending, 1,000 or 10,000 emails a day. People that don't know who you are, they never ask to hear from you. And so that leap forward in technology has created an issue, and you may have experienced it yourself, of just getting buried with messages like, who the heck is this person? And you read the email and it's clearly not even written by a human.
Mm-hmm.
So in response to that, two of the bigger players in the industry, Google and Yahoo, which is also AOL, are doing some self-regulation on behalf of people who have email boxes on their inboxes on their platform. So this is not if you're sending email through Gmail or Yahoo, but if you have an at yahoo.com, at gmail.com, or if you have Google Workspaces. So even though your email is, in my case, at Clearbox Strategies, we use Google Workspaces. So my operating platform is the Gmail platform, but they're trying to clamp down on unwanted messages coming into your inbox and into your servers.
Got it. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen that kind of thing where I'll get an email, it looks like it's personalized, but it really doesn't make sense in some areas. And I go to the domain and it's like a redirect. And I think that's something we had discussed earlier. Maybe you can talk more about like what are the specific like restrictions or changes that AOL and Google are starting to implement, how that affects small business owners.
So they started this with looking at large senders, which means companies that would send more than 5,000 emails a day,
Okay.
which really is not that big. You would think, oh, well, that means like, some big online marketing company like Amazon. Now, there are a lot of companies that actually hit that threshold, but they have expanded in the last 2 months of last year. They expanded that to include all email senders, really. And this all goes into effect in February. So this is going into effect next month, that they're going to start looking at any sender who is getting outside of their parameters of what they consider a good actor, that your email gets put in the spam inbox, in the spam folder in the inbox. It could go to the unfocused folder. Worse, it could be blocked. And I actually have a client that he's a large email sender. We talked about this and he kind of blew it off and said, nah, this is not real. These spam rates are too low. And now I'm hearing from his salespeople on a weekly basis saying, hey, I just tried to send send a quote to this guy's Yahoo address and it got blocked.
Wow.
Well, those spam rates are what gets you on their radar is a 0.1% spam report on your emails. They realize that's one email in 1,000.
Hmm.
And then if you cross the 0.3% reporting threshold, you can get to where all your emails immediately go to spam. If you continue to violate that, then they'll block your emails altogether. You just won't be able to send to anybody who has a Gmail address or a Google Workspaces address or Yahoo or at AOL.com.
So this could affect people. Maybe you're, using a tool that sends out kind of newsletter type information or sales information. If you get blocked from that or you get reported too high, your daily operation kind of emails where you're sending to clients or other people that have already corresponded, if they're on those platforms, they might start not receiving those emails. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. So, in the case of this client of ours that I mentioned, the spam issues were coming from email newsletters that they send out on a monthly, sometimes in season. They're sending out on a weekly basis, and the truth is they bought their largest competitor, so their email database doubled overnight, and they didn't try to clean that up at all. They just started emailing the whole database, and they're sending, just for reference, they're sending on the order of about 1 million emails a month. But that was creating the spam reports. And so then you have salespeople who are talking to real customers who ask for a quote, and they can't get those quotes delivered by email, which their whole process is built on. The customer gets an electronic quote and they click to pay. There's no paperwork involved. It's all done. The whole sale is done electronically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of businesses that operate like that. That could be really painful to get shut down for, having spam reports on newsletter. Does this still, I mean, a lot of times there's newsletter services where, they include like links to unsubscribe and kind of best practices like that. So like if you do get unsolicited email, people can unsubscribe from it. That doesn't necessarily protect you in this case. Like if someone still hits the spam report button, that still counts against you, even if you're following all the current kind of best practices, with unsubscribe links. Is that true, or does
Yeah,
that kind of help you at all?
no, that's true. And there's some technical setup that you need to go through. And you need to go through it even if you're using Constant Contact or Emma.com or HubSpot's marketing email service. Any email provider, they don't necessarily set you up to protect you from this, because these are settings that have to be made in your domain server. And that's a little technical. I don't want to put everybody to sleep. If they're watching this in the morning, they'll need another cup of coffee after we go through the technical stuff. But that can cause your emails to fail, even if you're using a service like that, whatever the monkey one is. I can't remember the name of it right off.
MailChimp, right?
Yeah. Any of those services, you can have these issues if you don't take steps on your own to make sure that those are authenticated. Yeah, you can do the practical things of, which is critical. You have to have an unsubscribe link in there. One click unsubscribe is best. So they don't click to it and then go to a page where, well, are you really sure you want to unsubscribe? Just they click and they're unsubscribed. That's critical. But even doing all those kinds of things right, won't protect you if somebody hits spam. So it starts with making sure you're sending it to people who actually want to get your emails.
Right.
That's
So what are
that's
some other kind of practical tips, maybe not like super technical, we talked and we mentioned like DNS, but are there other kind of like high level things that people should just kind of be aware of exist that maybe they can start thinking about how they might implement these to really protect themselves in the coming year?
Well, yeah. The first thing is make sure your mailing, your contact database, your CRM is up to date. That you have a good list of folks. Don't go buy a list. Somebody emails you on the internet and they say, hey, we can get you a list of all the doctors or all the accountants or people who have spent this much money on travel or whatever it is. Don't fall for that. Most of the email addresses on there are not valid email addresses. When we do email validation on those for clients, we find 35-40% of the email addresses are just bad. They just don't
Wow.
go anywhere. That's something that somebody's paid for. But clean your list. Make sure that people have opted in. You mentioned the unsubscribe link. Make sure that is clear and easy to find. It can be at the bottom of the email, but it's still, don't make it in teeny tiny font and one shade off of whatever your footer color is. Make it easy to find. The other thing is make sure that you're sending good quality content. That's half the battle. Send emails that are relevant to people. Don't just, hey, look at me emails. Give them something that's of value to them and worth their time to bother opening in your inbox. Because if you have good open rates, if you have good reactions inside the email for people where they're clicking on a link or they're watching a video or they respond to the email, all of that helps increase your sending reputation. And then at least once a year, email your database and say, hey, you're on our email list. We want to make sure we're only talking to people who care. Do you still want to receive emails from us?
Okay.
And
Wow.
give folks that option. That sounds like, oh my God, everybody's going to unsubscribe. Well, not if you did great content. If you did great content for them and sent relevant emails to them, they're not going to bail on you. If you've been sending them the same email 3 times a day about your latest webinar or your latest sale that you're having, yeah, they might opt out on that. But that's more a matter of you need to fix your marketing, not you need to fix your email.
So let's say, someone is sending out emails, maybe they're not following all the best practices that you just laid out, and their domain gets blocked. What kind of options do they have at that point?
Well, if your email, and there's 2 things that can happen. So your email can just get blocked. I mean, let's go, you're beyond just landing in the spam folder now, but you're actually blocked. So you get a bounce back message that says, hey, this email was not delivered. You clean up, go back and reevaluate all your best practices, go back and re-clean your list. Contact the person that it got blocked from, especially if this was off of a transactional email where you're dealing with a customer or vendor or some other relevant person, and ask them to whitelist your domain.
Hmm.
You can also use a service like one that we provide where we warm up an email address for you. So if you have a sending domain, we regularly send email from that domain to email inboxes. We know people will open it and they'll react to it positively to help offset anybody who might just, they get a notion one day to call it spam. People will mark something as spam because they think that's how they unsubscribe,
Right.
not realizing the damage that it can do to a business. So by using a warm-up service, you can help avoid that.
Great. And you mentioned something that I wanted you to expand on a little bit, like a sending domain. What is a sending domain?
So your domain is whatever your website is, and everybody who has a business of any size has a website now. So, for you, it's workergenix.com. It could be clearboxstrategies.com. Typically, your email is set up when whether you're using Microsoft Outlook or you're using Google Workspaces or whatever you're using, it's going to be, Harley at workergenix.com or whatever configuration you use. That workergenix.com is the sending domain. The worst thing that can happen is that your domain is blacklisted, which means you can't send email at all. That's happened. I've had that happen to clients before. When it's happened, they were going against our advice. But once that happens, that domain is, for all intents and purposes, burned. You can appeal it, but it's very long process. And the whole time you're appealing it, that domain is shut down. So we recommend that you have something that's adjacent to your domain that you pay for. Most domains are $10 or $12 a year. So it's pretty cheap insurance policy. And it could be clearboxmarketing.com or clearboxsales.com. Don't have to have the website there, but I'm using that to send my email so that if the worst happens and we are blocked or banned, I haven't ruined the domain that's where my website actually lives.
Okay, so you would maybe use this like kind of side domain and have that set up with the tools that you're using for the bulk email. Would you recommend people use that also for like their, like the example you gave of sending out the invoices, or maybe keep that separate?
No, if when you get to sending invoices and you're dealing with people that you have a business relationship with, odds are they are not going to report you as spam. Now, if you're sending them collections emails because they're delinquent on an account, you might want to use an adjacent domain for that because they might mark that as spam. But we recommend, for transactional emails is what I call those. You can use your main domain for that. But even on those emails, if you get an email from me, from cposey at clearboxstrategies.com, there will be an unsubscribe link in that email that
Oh,
gives you an
wow.
option to unsubscribe from those emails as well. Again, just trying to avoid somebody clicking that, mark this as spam button in their inbox.
Got it. Wow. So, what are some like things that you do with clients to kind of, you know, determine whether they're at risk? Like, do you have like an assessment or something like that that you can perform?
So we do. Our process is pretty straightforward. We do, and this has grown out of the need with this new legislation. We developed this for our existing clients, and so we sort of packaged it up as a. You don't have to hire us as your marketing firm for us to be able to do this for you. For our clients, we do it as part of their retainer, but you can purchase this just as a one-off service. But the first thing we do is an assessment, an audit, if you want to call it that. But this time of year, because now we're all thinking about taxes, that's not necessarily a good term. But we will assess and find any holes on the technical setup on your email and then report back to you, hey, this setting's not correct. This is not set up right. You don't have this policy filed in the email sending world. You know, we do a full assessment and give you a report back. That's just on the technical stuff. And then you can fix that yourself. If you're technically minded and you want to do that, you can hire us or you can hire somebody else to do that for you if you want to. And then we do the repairs, but email is no longer. A year ago, email was set it, forget it. Once I had everything set up, I could walk away from it and it's fine. It now requires ongoing monitoring, performance checks, and reporting back to whoever the relevant parties are to make sure that your email is staying healthy. Again, it's the best analogy is just like your credit score. You pay attention to your credit cards, make sure you pay your bills on time. You're going to monitor your credit report, or you should, at least once a year. You want to look at your credit report and make sure that somebody hasn't hacked their way in and created an issue for you, because there are companies out there that will spoof your email. So I get an email. It looks like it came from Workergenix, but it's really coming from somebody in a third world country that has bad intent. So we then have an ongoing service where we just monitor and report to folks on a monthly basis what's going on with their email and any corrective actions they need to take. And of
That's
course, we do the
awesome.
other side of it too, of helping people craft their emails, craft their messaging, try to create that great content for them.
Okay, so someone comes to you, they can get a free assessment for their business and their current domains. And then if there are issues, you've got a service where you can get it fixed for them. And then if they want, you can also help with the ongoing marketing, like creating the content, managing their customer list, doing that kind of marketing for those clients.
Exactly. And yeah, for folks that are seeing this podcast, it's free. If you just go on the website, it's not free. But if you mention to me or whoever you talk to that it's free, then we do that for free. We'll also give you $250 off on that initial setup should you choose to use us to do that.
Awesome. Well, really appreciate that generous offer. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get connected and maybe learn more about these issues? That I think you mentioned you have some PowerPoint that you could share with people as well.
Yep, I have a PowerPoint. We didn't use it here because slide decks are, so 2000. But we do have a PowerPoint that just summarizes everything. It does go into a little more detail on the technical side of things. Is actually my virtual assistant is the one that put that together that I have through you, Harley. And we can talk more about that in a second. You can email start@clearboxstrategies.com, and strategies is plural. You can email Clay at Clearbox Strategies as well. You can submit a form on our website if you want to. Phone number is there as well. And we'll be glad to set up a time to talk to you and take you through the steps of that assessment if you want to do that. Or if you just email me and say, hey, send me the slide deck, I'm glad to do that too.
Very cool. And we'll have all that information in the captions for the video when we get it published as well. Well, Clay, in the last minute or two here, I'd love to kind of hear updates on how you've been using your virtual professional, Daryl, and kind of share with other people so they can get an idea of like different ways that virtual professionals can be leveraged in their business.
So Daryl has, I can't say enough, and it's not just because you're sitting here. I say this all the time and send people to you with this same message. Has really been, he was the best investment I made last year.
Wow.
It took a bit for me to get used to working with somebody virtually, but Daryl handles our email list cleansing for clients now. He helps develop automation workflows to be sure that we're using best practices for our clients, for sales emails, for marketing emails. He does social media posts for us as well as for our clients. Pretty much anything I've asked him to do, he happens to be very technically proficient. Good news is, if somebody needs somebody technically proficient, you can provide that for them. And even does now some customer interaction where if we're working on a project, as that project is unfolding, he will take responsibility for communicating with the client, letting them know where we are in the project, if we need something from them, what that is. It's just really helping me on the back end side, make sure that everything's flowing
I
in the
love
right
hearing
direction.
that kind of story, and like you kind of keyed in on a word I like to use when I'm talking to people is, it's an investment, right? So you made a really good investment when you started getting Daryl helping you. And the next step that I kind of am curious on is, so he's handling all these things in the back end that presumably you used to do, or maybe they just were not being done. What are you doing with your time that was freed up from these tasks?
Well, I'd love to tell you I'm playing a lot of golf, but that wouldn't actually be true. Uh, no, what Daryl has allowed me to do, because I'm not functioning on the just minutia, repeatable kinds of tasks, I can focus for my clients on a much more strategic level. It allowed me the ability to, in Q4 of this last year, put together everything we need to do to be able to take care of email for our clients and for potential new clients, and do product development on my end. It gives me time to be able to do podcasts like this. It's my work I've replaced myself with all the mundane tasks is really what it boils down to, which has freed me up to come up to here in a very simple and scalable kind of way as I get to the place that I need another virtual professional. Whatever position I have to fill, that's where I'm going to look first is can a VA do this, or do I need somebody different than that?
Absolutely. Well, I love hearing that. I love hearing how you're leveraging technology, whether it's HubSpot and having Daryl take care of those kind of things for you, so that you're focusing on top 20% activities. You got more mental headspace. You're able to have a higher quality of life in your business and doing those higher level strategies that move the needle more for you and for your clients. I appreciate you sharing all that, as well as all the tips for email and the update on what's going on with spam in this coming year. And I'd like to encourage everyone, get in touch with Clay. We'll have his contact details below. He's got an amazing offer. He'll do a free assessment for you if you mention you found him through our Workergenix Mastermind. And then he's got a discount for you if you want him to go ahead and take care of getting things fixed that come up in that assessment. And then if you want to learn more about the technical details of these new spam rules, he's got a great presentation available that he can share with you if you reach out to him. Clay, I've really enjoyed having you on the mastermind here and really appreciate you sharing your insights.
Glad to do it, Arlie. I appreciate you having me on. and giving me the opportunity. One thing I will mention to folks is Microsoft is not talking about what they're doing in this regard right now with Outlook. But just because they're not talking about it doesn't mean they're not doing something with it. With Gmail and Yahoo doing this, they really don't have any choice but to follow.
Right. So it's absolutely critical. If you're a small business and you're doing online marketing, this is a great opportunity to make sure you're following the best practices and not at risk of getting your domain blocked. So definitely encourage everyone, get in touch with Clay as soon as you can. This is a great time at the new year to get things assessed and cleaned up so you're all set for these changes. So thank you again, Clay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Harley.